What's going on, my friends? Manny from Vegan Rock Climbing here. Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be the first technique episode for intermediate climbers. Today's subject, the backstep. Alright, let's do this. First I want to talk about what this technique actually is. How is the backstep defined and performed? Secondly, I want to explain how and why this technique actually makes our climbing more efficient in general. And thirdly, I want to give you some specific examples where applying this technique can make a huge difference in subjective problem difficulty. Okay, so what is the backstep? A good definition of this technique incorporates two criteria. First, the hips of the climber are not parallel to the wall. In other words, one side of the hip is closer to the wall than the other one. And secondly, the knees of the climber are pointing into the same lateral direction, left or right, which means that the knee that corresponds to the hip side that's closer to the wall is rotated inwards. Note that this is also the side of the outreaching arm. In extreme cases of the backstep, the knee literally falls down, sometimes even below the level of the feet. And this is why this technique can also be called a drop knee or Egyptian. Now that we know what it is, why is it useful? There are two main reasons. First, the backstep simply helps us to keep our center of gravity close to the wall. And as we discussed in the beginner lessons already, this is one of the major foundations for an efficient climbing style in general. Let's compare these three climbers here. They are all using the same holds and footholds. The first guy executes a frontal body position, pretty classy, pretty standard, no backstep whatsoever, and he's not very flexible, and this, as you can see, causes his ass to stick out. The second guy executes a frontal body position, but is more flexible in the hips. His body position is already more ideal than that of the first one. And the third guy is executing the drop knee. His center of gravity is close to the wall, which means less weight on his hands, more weight on his feet, and a more efficient climbing style in general, and it doesn't even require a lot of flexibility. But what about overhangs? Let's compare these two guys. The left one, the first climber, executes a frontal body position again. As you can see, he's quite flexible in the hips, but that doesn't help him much to keep his body tight, keep his body close to the wall, because in this terrain he needs something else called body strength. The second guy executes the drop knee again. And as you can see, he has it much easier to keep his center of gravity close to the wall, because this technique allows him to use stronger muscle groups like lateral abs, but also hamstrings in the legs to keep his body tight. And in a frontal position, this task has to be almost solely performed by back and ass muscles. In this beginner lesson, I told you that we need two physical capabilities for keeping our center of gravity close to the wall: hip flexibility and body strength. Thanks to the backstep, we need less of both to achieve the same or even better results compared to a frontal body position. So now that we saw and analyzed its advantages in static situations, let's proceed to dynamic ones where the backstep also has its relevance. The second big reason why this technique is so useful lies in its great ability to literally pull the hand, the outreaching hand of the climber towards the next hold. And the mechanics behind this are a little bit hard to explain, but let's just check out another comparison. Both of these climbers are using the same holds and footholds again, but as you can see, the left guy who is executing a frontal body position has it much harder to reach that next hold than the right guy who is executing the backstep. This has something to do with the knee that is rotated inwards in the backstep. Although it has the same supportive function than a frontal knee, it is at the same time not so much in a way as a frontal knee, which means that it doesn't push the climber so much in the opposite direction in which he actually wants to go to, which means towards the target hold, if that makes sense. So the rotated inwards knee helps the climber to literally pull himself towards the target, while the frontal knee pushes the climber away from the target. I hope that makes sense. So now that we've seen all the great advantages of the backstep, you might ask yourself, why don't we simply use it all the time? Well, as with any other higher climbing technique, the usefulness of the backstep is situation dependent. Out in the wild, real rock offers you a certain selection, a certain arrangement of holds and footholds, and you've got to work with that as good as you can. The backstep is not always the best choice. In my opinion, the backstep works best when it comes to side pulls, when it comes to lateral holds, side pulls, pinches, and also especially lateral footholds which are pointing towards you. To give you the opposite example, if the footholds are pointing away from you, it is actually best to stay in a frontal position if you want to literally pull on these footholds. Think about it. Bottom line, try to incorporate this technique more into your climbing. The most climbers that I've met exhibited a two frontal climbing style, myself included. And if it is used right, the backstep can really save a load of energy. And sometimes it can even determine whether you're able to perform a certain move or whether you're not able to perform a certain move and fall off. Watch out for drop knee opportunities in routes or boulder problems with a lot of side pulls, a lot of pinches, and also laterally oriented side footholds. Okay, that's especially important if they are pointing towards you. There you can save a lot of energy. And with these thoughts, I would like to end today's episode. I hope you got something from it. If you did, please leave a like, it helps a lot. And don't forget to share your comments in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe for future awesome technique episodes. And thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one, guys. Bye.